Hi, Apartment Therapy. I'm Alex. This is my 1959 A-frame in the San Bernardino Mountains, and let me show you around. I'm a creative director, intuitive guide, and digital storyteller based in Los Angeles. And this cabin is about an hour and a half outside of LA between Big Bear and Arrowhead. Right when you walk in, you are in this living room area, which I love. It's not huge, but the ceilings are so tall that it really feels massive and spacious. I love that the focal point is this gorgeous fireplace, which is original to the property in 1959. And I wanted to keep everything calming, but still have a little bit of fun with color. So this home has been in a few families for generations and generations. There were only, I want to say 2 or 3 owners before the owner before me got it, and she really rehabbed the whole house, and I'm so grateful to her for that. When she had it, I stayed here as an Airbnb in the pandemic. I needed to get away from the city. I came up with a girlfriend, and I just fell in love with the space, and I told myself one day I'm going to have a place that feels like this. Right when you walk in, you are greeted by the living room. My dream was for people to come here and go analog for a while. There is a reason there's not a TV in this space, and I love that. There are books, there's like an ever-rotating collection of some of my favorite books, cards, things that I want people to see, like, what is that, and kind of go on a little mystery scavenger hunt and just kind of fall into deep time here. There are games scattered in here. They actually are in little books. They look like books. Categories, you gotta love categories. Connect 4, come on. Scrabble. And so it's fun if you're with a group to play games, if you're alone to dig into some of the books or even some of the cards, little oracle cards, journaling, writing. I love meditating here. It's so peaceful. I love bringing people here that don't know each other well, and there's some kind of magic that happens. I'm convinced that the universe has brought them together for a reason, and so it's a great way to kind of be an icebreaker. You would be surprised how many women can fit in this space. I've had, I like to call them cosmic sleepovers, and I've had women come gather here. There's room for 1 or 2 on the sofa. There's a loft for a couple up there, a couple downstairs. I honestly think I could probably fit up to 8. I think finding your personal style for what you wear, interiors, anything, is an ever-evolving process. We are shapeshifters. We change, so our styles should change as well. I have always loved interiors. I remember when I was a kid, I would redo my room like as often as I could, and it would be like dark forest green with like animal motif, and then it would go to like bright yellow sunflowers. It would change all the time, and I don't know where we decided that it wasn't okay to change your mind or change your style. For me, it's been an ever-evolving process, and where I am with it now is I try to connect with a specific object, a rug, that becomes an anchor point for a space. I wanted to have a mix of new and old things and things that have character that kind of feel timeless and you have no idea what era they're from. This is a lamp that I was told is vintage from Japan from a store that I got in Orange County. The previous owner left this little vintage crystal apple because the previous name of the property was Little Apple because there's apple trees sprinkled throughout the property. This is a vintage book from Picasso in his studio that I thought was really cool, a vintage ashtray that I found at a flea market. I always have so much different incense here. I love burning incense. I love setting the tone. That's the first thing I do when I get here. I light incense at night. I just fill the place with candles. It really looks like a sanctuary. Design is a really intuitive process. I think it's one of the best ways to learn to trust yourself, because when you're building a space, you put things together, they don't work, you can rearrange them. It's not that big of a deal, but it does take a certain level of self-trust to do something that's uniquely yours. This is one of my favorite things to do, and I teach everybody. You can actually ask your body, show me what yes feels like. And just notice the sensations in your body. You might feel tingling in your legs, you might feel an expansiveness, whatever it is for you, it's different for everybody. And then say, body, show me no. see what that feels like. For me, it's like a contraction feeling. I can actually feel like a contraction in my stomach. So if you are at the store and you're like, should I buy the pink blanket or the blue blanket? You can say like, body, how does the blue blanket feel to me? Body, how does the pink blanket feel to me? And it might seem silly, but I think it is so powerful because our intuition hits immediately. I kind of keep a collection of pillows and blankets here because people just love to sit around and get cozy, including myself. Keep a yoga mat here, gets a lot of use as well. And I just want everything to feel comfortable and approachable. I want you to be able to just cozy up and stack a bunch of pillows and make a pillow fort. Every area here in this small space is meant to be used, and I love inviting people into comfort and coziness. These cabinets are original as well, and they even have the original hardware. They're a little dicey. I think they originally stored wood in there, but I'm a little scared of it, so I haven't done that. I keep the wood out here, but it would be nice to have that much wood in back stock, but there's one on either side, and it is great storage for that. These are just your standard haunted cupboards. Who doesn't have a haunted cupboard in an old house, you know? Not even joking though, I do think there is a spirit that lives here. I've had a couple friends catch glimpses of her. We're still getting to know each other, but she has woken me up in the night a couple times. I think the first owner of the cabin was a maitre d' at the Brown Derby restaurant in Hollywood. And so I have these fantasies that there were all these interesting people from Hollywood like coming up here. And I think she might be connected to that, but it's really interesting and cool lore. And I have been trying to like dig into it more. Now we are in the kitchen, which is about 2 steps away from that little living room. It's obviously a small space. I actually, this is a fun fact, found this one 2 doors down at the neighbors. I could have cleaned it a little better, but I think it was her mom's from like the 60s, I wanna say. And they don't make it like this anymore. This is quality. And I just love quirky stuff, okay? We all need our homes to be a little bit weirder. Not everybody needs to have the same copy paste stuff. So I like to think of my life in general as a cosmic scavenger hunt, which is why I like to call this the cosmic cabin, but because the way that I got it was also kind of like a scavenger hunt. My dear friend gave me this candle of Dolly Parton. I like to think of her as my patron saint of creativity and just being sparkly and extra and big, and too much is never enough, and the higher the hair, the closer to God. So I kind of keep this here. I was a prop stylist for years. I would source props. I would love going to flea markets, and I was always having to build little moments or build little worlds. And so I would hyper fixate on something. Like for example, if I was working on something vintage, I would find old dug up vintage glass bottles or whatever that would be for that time. And I ended up with this almost library of all kinds of different props. I personally love things that are unique. They look like they have a story behind them, oftentimes colorful, really beautiful texture. That's what I gravitate towards. And so when it came to building this space for me, because previously I'd only been in rentals, this is the first time I've ever gotten to build a permanent space where I got to do anything I wanted. I started to pull from that library of colorful things. I didn't want it to feel like my eye was being drawn too many places, because the purpose of this cabin is a place to get away and feel calm. I didn't want to detract from that, but I really wanted it to feel cheerful and bright and fun. The previous owner did such a beautiful job. She really like flipped this and turned it into an Airbnb, which I love. And I'm just so grateful to her because she put in these gorgeous appliances and these beautiful countertops. She just really knew what she was doing. And so I really was handed a beautiful canvas. I did push it in the colors, and I do have some dreams of my own of kind of some things that I would tweak as I continue to make it my own, but I am eternally grateful to the previous owner. She did this IKEA kitchen, which, you know, even the shelves and stuff are IKEA, which I love because you can really do it on a budget. But then she added these semi-handmade hardware, which really just took it up a notch. You know what I mean? As somebody who has rented for such a long time, the first and most important thing I think you can do to a home to really make it look just to level it up is to change out the hardware, change out the lighting. You can do that in a rental or if you own, but it is such a game changer to have nice hardware. I also love the way that she formatted the kitchen. She didn't do cupboards, she did drawers, which at first when I got here, I was like, that's kind of different. But it is so helpful for organizing. These gorgeous deep drawers, and then there are these hidden drawers. So this is my little like coffee tea moment, and it just makes it so easy to organize. They're like gentle close, ready, wait for it. Ooh, so nice. There is a lot of counter space here, but I also am aware that this is just such an open kitchen. It's such a focal point that I want to keep the calming feeling throughout. And so I didn't want a bunch of appliances on here that weren't necessary. So I actually hid all of the appliances. This is also what the previous owner did. All the appliances are hidden down in the drawer. So I've got a microwave, an air fryer, a toaster, and they're easy to just pop up, but the counter remains calming, smooth, good for the nervous system, good for the mind. I'm also a meditation and breathwork teacher, so like that stuff is very important to me. And I think it's a perfect balance. I am a collector, you might say. My friends and family think that would probably be a generous term. I'm sure they would have another word for it. But I've always loved to collect objects. It's like when I see something that I love, I just really want to get it. And then I have found that something you buy on a whim but feels like you or sings to you or brings you joy finds a way of fitting into your life. Like for example, when I found that little swan over here on the side of the road, my husband's like, what are you gonna do with that? I'm like, don't worry about it. She is gonna find a home, and here she is in all her glory. And does she not make you smile? I used to kind of just go and source things at vintage stores and at swap meets and all that kind of stuff. I got rid of my storage unit of all of my props because I'm just not doing that as much anymore. But I had all this stuff for this place, all right, other than the furniture, and I'm not mad about it. When you find something like this, you buy it. When you find things that probably can't go in the dishwasher, but they're really cute and you still use them, you get them, you know what I mean? These are actually from Target. I saw these gorgeous glasses from Target and I thought they would be perfect. Great deal. So things come from all over. This utensil holder is from Etsy. There's vintage stuff from my travels, but you don't need to spend a lot of money and you can get things from big box stores. It really is just how you put them together and whatever speaks to your personality. And I think that's what creates a really unique decorating style, is being true to yourself and not trying to copy a trend that you see. One thing we don't have enough of in this world, a little half door. It's not wide enough to let a pie cool or anything, but what a vibe. I love in the morning, the first thing I do is come here, open this window, ground, make my little coffee or matcha, put on some music, but I can hear the birds chirping. It's giving Snow White. I grew up in a house full of artists and people that grew up with not a lot of money, but with a lot of creativity. And just seeing how my grandma would save eggshells for months and then break them up and put them on cupboards with iridescent paint to make like a peas shell finish. She was so scrappy. She grew up in the Great Depression. She's one of my biggest design inspirations. My mom and aunt are artists. And so I grew up in a home of women that loved aesthetic things, and they really had an eye for design, and they found ways to do it on a budget. This is my bedroom, the primary bedroom, and I really wanted this to be a really calming, cozy sanctuary where the rest of the house has a lot of color. I wanted to keep calming neutrals throughout the space here. And I did get all of the bedroom furniture, the set from Anthro. They have just such beautiful pieces. I find that the pieces they have so much character and they feel like global and eclectic, but they are approachable. I really wanted to bring in the elements of the outdoors and keep this room feeling really organic. So I put a crystal, I have like another tray that's a crystal. This is a shell from some travels actually. Kind of like to bring together all the elements of nature in this room, since this is a place with so much nature around it. I kind of wanted to bring some of that inside as well. And one of the things I did splurge on was a nice mattress and bed and linens. The bed is from Anthropologie, as are the linens. There used to be kind of a little makeshift closet here because this one has the washer and dryer in it, but I wanted this to be a reading nook, so I switched out this lamp to make it just a moment, and added a little table, a really cozy reading chair with a footstool. And it's gorgeous because as the light turns golden, or actually early in the morning, the sun rises out this way. So I can watch the sunrise sitting here, looking out the window. It's a great place to start the morning journaling. Here is the one tiny bathroom, but she does the trick. She's got a tub. I love this space so much. I call it the Sky Loft because it feels like you're up in the clouds. And that's actually what I use for the design inspiration. I wanted it to feel like you were sleeping on a cloud. How did I do? True story, by the time I got up here, budget was running very low. And so I had to wait. I waited a long time before I finally put a bed up here, but I found this company called Soft Frame Designs, and they make these soft bed frames that are so easy. They ship in a small box. You put it down here just on a normal bed frame and it covers it, and it's like an upholstered bed, but it's much more affordable. They have lots of different fabrics and sizes. So I got this because I wanted it to feel like you're sleeping on a cloud. It's very comfortable. And I found this comforter, I believe it was from Urban Outfitters. And again, the budget piece, I wanted it to feel very cozy, but I kept it really simple because when you wake up here, the window is all you need for decor. But I found these really inexpensive paper lanterns. I wanna say they were under $10. And to just make it look a little more chic, I also found a really inexpensive cord cover and pendant kit. And so I made these little pendants that I just honestly hung with command strips. That's another great thing that I've learned when I was living in rentals. And the only really interesting touch is this pillow that I've had for years that I got from Etsy. It's handmade and I've had it for, gosh, I don't know, maybe almost 10 years or something. And I just felt like it was the perfect final touch. It went with the pendant lights. So that's the Sky Loft. I also love the charm of these built-ins from the 1950s. When this was built, it has the original hardware, same as the haunted cupboards downstairs. I keep these empty for when I have guests come so that they have somewhere to store their things. I said I keep them empty, but look what I just found. I completely forgot I had this. Empty except for a disco ball planter, naturally. I feel like we live in a time where everything is so trend-based. Everything we wear, every video we see online, and it feels almost like there are decades and moments and things that you have to stick within in order to be on trend. And I really wanted this place to feel timeless. There are things here from the 50s, and there are things here from 2026, and there are things from all over the world, new, old, high-end, more affordable, and they all work together because I think they all have the thing in common, which is I love them. So I love leaning into intuition, self-trust, play, fun when it comes to designing a space or an outfit or anything really. Home is a space that holds you in your becoming. Home is the place that sees the good, the bad, and the ugly, and a place to spend time with people I love. And I also think it's a really great way to express yourself. If you look around your house, you see so much about who you are and where you are. For me, I know when my mental health isn't great or I'm overwhelmed or stressed, my house looks a certain way. And I think it's a great mirror. It's a great mirror for us. It really reflects back to us how we feel about ourselves, what we love, who we are. Yeah, home really is an extension of our hearts.